Hey guys, it's Dean. Welcome to the Better Man podcast. Today's episode is a repeat interview with David Moss. He is a extreme temperature expert, hot and cold therapy on YouTube. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel. Just does a series with him recently. And we're going to be talking about saunas, about cold plunges, and contrast therapy, which is going back and forth between the two. We're talking about what it's good for, because it isn't just for athletes and muscle recovery. There are a ton of other benefits. We also talk about how to do it safely and using common sense. The goal shouldn't be to just be constantly shivering or feeling like you're going to pass out from the heat. So we talk about how to do this safely and effectively. And we talk about how we fit it into our schedule. So the easiest way to fit it into your schedule and be efficient, especially if you're a busy guy. We also talk about why you might want to think twice about wearing organic clothing. We touch on acupressure mats. We talk about red light therapy. We talk about creatine. So these are just a few of the topics, but the overall goal here is just like what I do with Manful Yoga. It's figuring out how can we live healthier lives? How can we be independent for as long as possible to be able to do what we want physically with our bodies and be around for the people that matter? And that's ultimately why Dave and I do what we do. And I hope this helps you, and I hope it inspires you to be a better man. Enjoy. Hey guys, it's Dean. Welcome to the Better Man podcast. Today we've got repeat guest David Moss, not Mouse, and he's going to be talking with us about his expertise, which is extreme temperatures. So hot therapy, cold therapy, moving back and forth between the two, and we'll see where this conversation goes. So David, thanks for being here.
Man, thanks so much for having me on again. I love conversations with you, so this is going to be a fun one.
Yes. So we've already we did a previous episodes. If you want to go back and kind of hear, Dave's full story there, I'd encourage you to do so, because it's a pretty cool one. But I'd love to just kind of recap how you got into cold therapy, and then we can kind of lead the conversation into there. So, because I think it's a good one. So what was your cold therapy story, the short version for people who haven't heard it?
Short version, I was in the car business for 20 years. And during the last probably 5 years of that, I started experiencing some severe brain fog and just, I don't know, it wasn't like focus issues, but just like I wasn't firing on all cylinders every day. And I was drinking the energy drinks, the coffee, trying all the things. And I just couldn't figure out what was going on with me until I finally jumped in some cold water, fell in love with that. Then started to just dive deeper down the rabbit hole and figure out these biohacks that actually worked, other than having to take supplements and all this other stuff. And I just fell in love with it. Fell in love with it to the point where I started talking about it on my social media platforms, which wasn't very many and wasn't very big at the time. And now I get to review pretty much every wellness product there is on the market. And it's gotten me into a lot of cool stuff, but I've gotten to naturally explore. Like once you find something that changes your life, you kind of want to tell everybody, and you also want to do more of it. So I started cold plunging every day. Then I started realizing that contrast therapy was a thing. It wasn't going to kill you. I've experimented with red light therapy for a long time, groundings, natural sunlight, different things like that. And now, because of the magic of social media and YouTube, this is what I get to do for a living. And I love talking about it because I am not a doctor. I am not a scientist. I am nothing special. I'm just a normal dude, a dad, father of 4, married for 15 years, just a guy who likes to put myself through these different tests and see what actually works, not just what a brand wants me to tell you it does.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Awesome. Yeah. So, and that's actually how I found you. I have a cold plunge from the Plunge, and I try to use that multiple times per week. Some weeks are better than others. Some weeks I'm like every day. Some weeks are like not at all, but it's all over the place. But I was trying to clean mine, and I hadn't used it in a while. I'm like, okay, let me find a video. I want to like make this brand new again. And I found your video on YouTube, watched it, super informative, really broke it down into easy steps. And then I reached out to you and we started talking from there. So, what are for people who are listening, and I think a lot of people also kind of have that, that historical mentality of cold water being like, oh, cold water will make you sick. Don't get in cold water. And so what is why would people get in cold water? Like, what are the health benefits?
So I have a really recent story to share that I think might make more sense than some of the sciencey stuff. Because sometimes you hear the sciencey stuff and you're like, oh, those are cool words. I just don't know what they mean. So I'm just going
Mm,
to explain it in a way that I think everybody's at least experienced before. Have you ever been a little bit tired? You know, maybe you're driving and it's late at night and you're a little tired and you're like, man, like I could definitely go to sleep right now. And all of a sudden a deer jumps out in front of you or the car in front of you slams on the brakes out of nowhere and you get that shock.
right.
And like, oh my gosh, everything had to activate quickly. Like your brain had to fire and everything just turned on immediately. 1 second you're tired and you're groggy. The next second you are fired on all cylinders. Your butt's puckered up. Your brain's going 1,000 miles an hour, and you just experienced a little sense of shock. Well, that
Hmm.
is what every time I get into a cold plunge, that is what happens to me. So like, if it's 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, early in the morning, and I'm tired, coffee's not going to wake me up. A pre-workout, no, that's not going to like really wake me up, but I can go from the bed being tired to getting into cold water, and that shock immediately wakes me up and gets me firing on all cylinders. The cool
Hmm.
thing too is if you've ever experienced that like really quick shock reaction, or if somebody scared you, like maybe you and your wife are playing around in the house and like she jumps out of the corner and scares the crap out of you, you're like your
You
senses are
you
heightened.
have a different marriage than I do.
You just scared me yesterday, so like that's where that story came
uh,
from. And I'm like, dude, you scared the crap out of me. And like it was like right before bed too, so I'm like, man, now I'm screwed.
yeah.
But anyway, like that shock that you feel where it just fires everything and you just are awake and you're thinking clearly and everything just feels good. The difference that I like about cold water therapy versus shock therapy, I guess they're similar, is
Yeah.
that when you get into cold water, that shock and those feelings, those endorphins, those things that make you feel good, they can last for hours. Unlike a cup of coffee that might make you feel good for, while you're sipping it or 10 minutes, 30 minutes afterwards, it makes you feel on fire, like you feel good for hours afterwards. So
Mm,
I started to do that on a regular basis, and I found myself craving it. And I also found there was some really interesting things I noticed about myself. And this is before there was so many videos and people talking about it, but I also noticed that my recovery was much faster. I always did high
mhm.
intensity training. I was never really much of a runner, but I would do high intensity CrossFit style training, and I always had some form of injury. So
Yeah.
not only was I feeling energized and on fire for hours, I was also recovering from my workouts faster, leading me to training a little bit more and a little bit harder without the repercussions of that. So there was like all these compounding effects in my life from cold plunging that I just felt like this is something more people need to experience. So if you're
Mhm.
someone who's never experienced cold water and you're like, hey, like I don't want to get sick. My mom and dad told me don't get in cold water, you're going to get sick. There's a difference between like getting yourself into a controlled, stressful environment like a cold plunge and then
Yeah.
being able to get out with a towel versus, traveling on foot through Antarctica and not having a place to warm up. So
Yeah.
it's a little more controlled. You're able to warm up if it gets a little dangerous, and hypothermia is a real thing, but it's not really much of a real thing when it comes to using cold water therapy as a wellness practice.
Yeah. I mean, if you stay in beyond, like, if you don't listen to your body and you're just doing it as like an Ironman competition where you're like, I'm going to stay in here for as long as I possibly can. And, and you've been shivering for like 5 minutes and like, yeah, that's a really dumb way to do it. Or
Yeah,
if you're like, you're just starting out and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do like 38-degree water. Like I'm going to start there. Right. Like, and just like, it doesn't have to be that cold, right? It can be like in the 60s. It can even like low 70s is going to feel cold, right? If you think about what water temperature feels like versus like what the air feels like, 70 degrees water feels a lot different than 70 degrees, just, ambient temperature. So
absolutely.
it doesn't have to be cold and it doesn't have to be long. Basically, you're staying in it and I like that you use the word controlled stress. Like you're using cold water as a form of controlled stress to get your body to a certain point, right? Where it feels like, okay, I'm starting to get colder. Maybe I'm about to start shivering. Maybe your body's telling you, okay, hey, like we should probably get out at this point. And then you get out, right? And you slowly build that tolerance over time. Like I went to my wife took me to it's like a mineral spring park this past week, and so it's kind of cool. It's this little town in the middle of San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. So it's like in the kind of right in the between all those big cities in Texas. And there was there's a mineral spring there, so the water has healing properties. And
So
in
cool.
the early 1900s, people would go there as like a form of use it as like a form of treatment for polio. So it's got kind of
Wow.
a cool history. But there's a cold plunge there. They have cold plunge and a hot tub right next to each other. And so you see people like getting in the cold plunge and walking in. They're like, "Oh my God, it's so cold." And like, I have a cold plunge in my backyard. So I just walk in, my face doesn't change, my breathing barely changes because I know how to do it. Right. But for people who haven't done it, they're getting in, they're staying in for 5 seconds and they're like, "Oh, too cold, getting out." So it's
Yep.
like, it's the same as like, going through a 60-minute yoga practice versus being new and going through a 10-minute yoga practice, right? You scale up to
Yep.
doing something. So, for the people who are, concerned about doing cold water, then yeah, like if you go straight to level 10, you probably could do something to mess yourself up as you would with anything that's
Yep.
physically demanding. So
No, absolutely. And I think that's really important for the listeners, especially if there's anybody listening who has not done this before. Listen to your body. That was a key thing that I had to learn because like when I first started doing it, not a lot of people did. And the people who started making it popular, like Joe Rogan, they're getting into 31-degree ice filled tubs for 20 minutes. Like there's no reason, no rhyme or reason for that. And maybe, I mean, if you can sit in that cold of water for 20 minutes and your fingers don't turn blue and fall off and you're not shivering, then you're a freak of nature. God bless you. But for me, like I like getting into where personally, like my favorite temperature is 48 degrees. Can I go colder? Yep. Can I go warmer? Yep. Can I go long? Yep. But I don't like to. For me, 48 degrees for 2 minutes, I feel incredible. I feel unstoppable. I feel the benefits for hours. That's ideal for me. Now I have a lot of cold plunges, and some of them are filled with ice. Some of them
please
create
please
ice.
go look at Dave's YouTube channel. And I don't know if you have one where you tour your house, but if you just kind of look around in the background, there's just like different cold plunges throughout your house because you
Crazy.
have to fit them somewhere, and they give them to you. So
It's insane. It's insane. But now I do love I love the challenge of getting into an ice filled cold plunge that has ice floating around and seeing at what point does my body start to shiver. Because when you start to shiver, that's your body saying it's time to get out. Now it's getting dangerous. So once you activate shiver, that's when you should get out. Like whoever's listening to that. If you're crazy and you want to stay in, feel free. That's up to you. Make your own decisions. But that's your body's way of saying everything's been activated. We have maximized this cold plunge. Let's get out of here before bad things happen.
I like that. And so this brings up a couple of questions. So and if you're listening and you're looking for more conversations on hot and cold, did a really good interview with Brian McKenzie. Do you know Brian McKenzie? Have you heard the
The
name?
breathing coach, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah. And
sleep
so
coach.
no, he's a
Breathing,
breathing coach. Yeah,
breathing coach. Yeah,
I think his exact title is like human optimization specialist, but he's one of the first guys who started doing research on cold and hot therapies. So
yeah.
like he
So cool.
started doing this, I want to say back in the 90s before people were really doing it. So it's kind of cool to hear him talk about it because he's been doing this for decades before it was really popular. And so I think one thing that really stood out to me is he said, yes, cold and hot therapy are great, but there are more benefits to hot therapy and cold therapy.
Yeah.
And so that's my segue into
Yeah,
saunas.
yeah. Dude,
But
actually, I saw a video of Brian doing the assault bike in a sauna.
oh yeah,
Like,
yeah, he's all about that. He's like his whole thing is like improve your O2 max. So like
yeah.
get hot and challenge your breathing at the same time. So that makes
Ooh.
total sense.
I have the plunge sauna, and you can fit the assault bike into that. I actually designed it around his
Yeah.
requests,
Oh,
so
he
I might have
did.
to try that.
That's cool. I'm just imagining the absurdity though of like carrying my assault bike and like putting in the sauna. I'll get over it, but um,
It's got to be like, you got to keep it in there. I don't know. I haven't done it. I know the benches in the plunge sauna fold up against the wall, and you have like a 4 foot by, I think it's 7 foot space. So you could do yoga in
It's
there.
big in there.
It's huge. Yeah. Like the
Yeah.
full XL is a really good size. The floor has like that BPA free rubber. So it's got grip too.
Oh,
It's a
that's
cool
cool.
design. I haven't taken advantage of mine being able to do all of that. I just use it as a sauna. But let's
Mhm.
segue into sauna because I agree with Brian. I love cold plunging. I think there's a lot of energizing and mental benefits to it. But I think
Mhm.
biologically, physiologically, I think the sauna is the best bang for the buck,
Mhm.
personally.
Yeah. I mean, so what is, and I've made plenty of content on sauna, but I'd love to hear from you. Like, what are the benefits of being in a sauna?
So for me, I mean, these are a lot of personal opinions, but for me, what I love about the sauna, and for me, it's bang for the buck too. Like going to like having to drive to some place to go do something for 30, 40, 50 minutes. And that's one of the reasons I love your channel too, is like being able to do yoga at your house, and you have so many different videos on different times. Like if I only have 15 minutes today, what am I going to like, what's going to maximize benefits for me as a human in that
Mhm.
15 minutes? Is driving to the gym to try to like stretch for 10 minutes. Is that beneficial, or should I turn on my TV, go to my Manflow yoga and do a 15-minute flow real quick? Or in my world, is it grounding, cold plunging, sauna? What's going to give me the best bang for the buck? And it depends on what my goals are. So like if I'm about to go into a meeting with somebody or a podcast and I need my brain firing on all cylinders, it's going to be a cold plunge. Like cold plunging is
Mhm.
just going to activate all the mental things that I need to be
Yeah.
sharp and to be ready and to be dialed in. If my goal is to improve VO2 max, or I want to improve my endurance or longevity, I'm probably going to spend a little more time in the sauna, because one of the things I love about sauna, and I don't think a lot of people make a ton of content about it, but like I love tracking, and I just wear Garmin, so it's not as cool as the Auras and Whoops and all that stuff. But I wear this watch to track everything that I do. I really enjoy seeing those metrics. And what I love about sauna is, depending on the temperature, you can get into zone 2 cardio by sitting down very quickly in a hot sauna, and you're sweating, you're activating heat shock proteins, which are like the body's little cleanup crew. It goes
Truly,
around, starts
truly
to
no impact cardio.
truly no impact cardio. So I can sit in a sauna for a 10-minute session. Obviously, going longer, going hotter, same thing as a cold plunge. It's all up to you. But like my ideal is like a quick 10-minute session in the sauna at above 190 degrees, really, really hot. So I start sweating and my heart rate starts climbing very fast. I don't have to sit in there for 20, 30 minutes before that happens.
Mhm.
And I get into zone 2 and sometimes zone 3 cardio, depending on how long and how hot you're in there. And
Yeah.
to me, like that's pretty incredible. You can sit in a sauna for 10, 15 minutes. You're in zone 2 the entire time, and you're reading a book. You know what I mean? Like you're not
Yeah.
running on the trail or rowing or biking. You're reading a book, or you're in a nice space where you're kind of forced to pause and reflect, and you can't have technology in there. So it's an interesting space, and it's a place that I really enjoy spending time.
Yeah. Yeah. I found, I like that, bang for your buck wise, like there's very few things that can be as dramatically stimulating as a cold plunge, right? Like that's like a minute, or like even
Yeah.
like 30 seconds. Like if you're like, oh, I got 2 minutes. All right, I'm just gonna like take my clothes off. I'm gonna keep my boxers on. I'm gonna go run and jump in the cold plunge. I'm gonna
You
sit
got to do
there
it
for
naked,
30
man. You just got to get in
seconds.
your butt naked.
Yeah, if the fences are big enough. And then you get out, and then like within a minute, you're like, okay, like things are different, right? So like
Yep.
bang for your buck wise, like totally. Um, Sauna wise, like yeah, if it's hot, if you stay in there long enough, I think it's also a good opportunity to. I've personally noticed benefits wise, definitely, sped up recovery. Like I think it really helps with getting rid of soreness. I've also noticed that, like for me, if I ever have any sort of body tweak, so like if let's say my lower back is like, every now and then I get a lower back tweak, and the result of a lower back tweak or a muscle strain, um, not that the two are the same, two are different, but the result is that that area tightens up, right? It's a defensive response to the whatever trauma it happened, whatever injury, whatever damage happened. And so the way to recover isn't necessarily giving it time, it's getting it to forget the trauma, right? So it's getting it to relax the tension that it created to protect yourself. And saunas are really good for this because they get muscles to relax. And so they help you to release that tension that happens as a result of a tweak. So like for me, whenever I have a low back tweak or whenever I have like just stuff flaring up, I'm like, okay, to this week, I'm going to be more intentional about getting in the sauna. Like and the way that I like to make it more efficient, because we're both busy guys. If you're probably listening to this, you're a busy guy. So you've got the easiest way to make it more efficient is to do something ahead of time. So like go for a walk, do a workout, do some yoga, get your body kind of heated up beforehand. And then when you go in there, you're already sweating. So now it turns from like this, this 15 or 20 minute deal into maybe just like a 10-minute ordeal, right?
Right.
So there's
And
lots
if
of
you
ways.
really want to do something cool, if you have the ability, if you have your own home gym, or if you just did a yoga session that was a challenge and your heart rate's already been up, I absolutely love jumping into the sauna directly after a workout. So while my heart rate's still jacked up, I feel like, and once again, not a doctor, not a scientist, I feel like it flushes.
Well, you're a scientist.
I guess I am a scientist, is what people have been saying, because I'm experimenting.
You're an amateur scientist.
There's this flushing feel that you can't get. I can't get it doing anything else, but immediately after my work. And I'm talking about like if I'm doing a crazy high intense exercise, instead of like hitting the ground and like collapsing and dying, like, I just did it. I take that energy with me straight into the sauna while my heart rate is still jacked up. And it's so crazy. I should make a full video on this, but like if my heart rate is at 160, like if I ended on the assault bike and my heart rate is up there, whatever my heart rate is that I bring with me into the sauna, it stays pretty much the entire time while I'm in the sauna. I think it's like your body knows, like, I don't know, like it would be a really cool thing for someone who's got a lot of money to study, but it's a really cool thing that happens. Like your body's currently exerting itself to that level, zone 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, like that level.
Yeah.
And then when you get into that hot setting, even though your body's not physically exerting it, it feels that heat.
Yeah.
And that weight of that heat, and it keeps you there for as long as you're in there. Like I'll do a 5-10 minute session immediately after my workouts, and it just like keeps my heart rate right where it's at for that additional time without exerting any additional energy from my muscles. And then when you get out, like you do feel this just like, it feels so good. And I know it's very controversial, but personally, I love cold plunging after my sauna sessions. Like
cold plunging in biohacking world, not controversial in like new U.S. news or like
yeah. No, because some people think that you shouldn't mix hot and cold. I beg to differ. And what you said earlier, how sauna relaxes your muscles, it's really cool for me to see what's actually happening with my body and what my body is capable of. But more importantly, like I'm a father of 4, I'm married, and to have my wife experience that, my kids and our friends come over and experience that, like, oh, wow, you can go from a 200-degree setting where your pores are open, your muscles are relaxed, your veins are popping, you are sweating like crazy, and your heart rate's typically in zone 2, it's over 110, 120 beats per minute, and then immediately get into cold water and not die. Now, obviously, like this is, there is some caution here because there are some extreme cases, but the fact that you can go from that hot sauna into a cold plunge and the body can adapt, it's able to adapt. That's been the most interesting thing for me to experience throughout this entire journey.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. We can talk about, because what we're talking about here is contrast therapy. And this is a super popular technique used for recovery. So, there are now, I don't know, depending on where you live, if you live in a larger city, there are places for this now. There are recovery, I don't know what they're called, recovery studios, recovery labs. But you basically go there to recover. And, most people are not in their 20s anymore. So recovery is just as important as your workouts now. For every intense workout that you do, you should also be doing some sort of lower intensity, intentional recovery, flexibility, stretching, whatever it is. But when you go to one of these recovery labs, one technique they'll have you do is contrast therapy. So you'll go in the sauna for 2 minutes, and then you'll go in the cold plunge for like 30 seconds, and you'll just go back and forth. I think like the minimum amount of like sets would be like 3. But I mean, I've heard of people doing it just like 30 minutes straight, just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So what's the idea behind contrast therapy? What does it do? How's it helpful?
It's one of the most euphoric feelings I think a human can feel, other than doing an illegal drug or substance that I don't want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about or recommend. When you get into, so the typical process of what we do, and we do it a lot. We try to do it every night. We live in Florida, so we get a lot of thunderstorms. Um, we'll do the sauna and we'll crank it up as hot as everybody feels good with. Try to do a 10-minute to 15-minute session. We'll go even longer. 10 to 15 minutes in the sauna, a full sauna session at some people's standards, right? And you're sweating, you're relaxing the muscles, you're vasodilating, as they say, where your blood vessels are opening and blood is just leaving the organs, because it's like, holy smokes, we need to leave so we don't overheat. Like your vital organs, your blood will leave
Mm-hmm.
your core and go out to. That's why you get poofy too. Like if you wear a wedding ring, a lot of times people get into a sauna or they get hot. They're outside where it's hot and humid, and their hands get poofy. Well, it's
Mm-hmm.
like the blood is leaving the core and it's going to the extremities. So that happens when you're in the sauna. You
Yeah.
sweat, detoxify, feel good, muscles relax, all that fun stuff. Then there's a very important step we can't forget. You need to shower off, because you don't want to bring all that sweat and funk
Right.
into somebody's cold plunge. But
Yes.
quickly shower off, like just get the sweat and stuff off of you, and immediately jump into that cold plunge. Well, when you get in that cold plunge, kind of like we talked about at the beginning of this, your body goes into shock. So it was just in the most like relaxed state ever. You're in the sauna, you're feeling nice, you're like, having that bro conversation, kind of like the crudes too. They're in the sauna, like, banana, don't eat the banana. And now all of a sudden you're getting into cold water that's forcing your body into shock to wake up. It's like, whoa, hey, like, okay, we're relaxed now. Now we have to wake up. And almost immediately, very quickly, your body's like, we just went from really, really hot to really, really cold. Everybody activate. And it
Mm-hmm.
starts activating your cells, and it starts to repulling that blood that would just left your core back into your core. So it's a really cool thing. Like my father-in-law, my mom, I've had some people who are older come over and do some contrast therapy with us, and they have like circulation issues, and you can really feel the circulation areas, like where there's a lack thereof of circulation, due to
Yes.
contrast therapy, because they'll feel like their feet will start to tingle in a very, in a crazy way. Basically, your blood has now been forced out to the extremities. Now it's being pulled back into the core very quickly, and it's one of the most incredible feelings I've ever felt in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
I crave it. So it's a great flushing technique, like throughout the body. It's a great way to circulate blood throughout, and even oxygen throughout the entire
Mm-hmm.
body really, really fast. And great for recovery, great for, believe it or not, reducing inflammation, even though it seems like that would cause inflammation. It helps to reduce inflammation. And it's just it's a great way to recover.
Yeah. And like that circulation boost that you're talking about, that's how your body gets rid of dead cells and brings in new cells and new nutrients. So it is really good for recovery. So I'm assuming, I'm just connecting the dots here, but I'm assuming it creates this euphoric feeling because your body's like, "Oh, this is good. This is really
Mm-hmm.
good for us. We want this." And
We
so
want.
like, one way that I've been using contrast therapy, I have this weird. I think of like me. It's over a year ago now. Over a year ago now, I was wearing a lot of barefoot shoes, and I did this for years. I wore a lot of barefoot shoes for years, And I did it to the point where I just did too much of it. And I think I was also striking the ground incorrectly. I think I was putting too much weight in my toes and not planting enough with my heel. And so what ended up happening was I actually fractured a bone in my foot. It's not a stress fracture. It's kind of like a stress fracture. It's this little bone called a sesamoid. And it's kind of funny because my wife had the same exact injury like a couple years before that when she was pregnant. And, as when you are pregnant, you get more prone to injury. And so we have the same fracture. One more reason we're bonded forever. But this thing takes forever to heal. Like I bet I have been wearing like special inserts in my shoes for like almost a year now. I still have them. But I did some research and tried to feel like, okay, what helps? And I found that calf stretching is one part of it. So I've been doing a ton of calf stretching. And when I do that consistently, it feels pretty good. But the other thing that I found was I went down the Reddit hole and I was trying to figure out like, well, how do you like, what else can I do? And someone there mentioned I had this issue and what helped me was doing contrast therapy. And I was like, oh, that makes sense because what you're doing is you are forcing blood flow into the extremities. The only thing about this is you have to do it kind of consistently. You can't just do it once and expect results. But, these are the kinds of things that, hey, my feet are really important to me. I need to be able to use my feet because my job is physical, but even beyond that, even if I wasn't doing manful yoga, I would still have this much concern over my body. I still want to be able to use my body for as long as possible. And getting older, getting into my late 30s now, and I want to be able to run. I want to be able to sprint still. And if I can't figure that out in my 30s, and I try to start doing it again in my 40s, this is going to be a little bit harder, so I keep that in mind whenever it's like whenever I'm looking at issues with the body, I'm trying to figure out like, hey, how can I be proactive about this? Because I could fix it later, but it's just going to be so much harder. So let me figure out how to, fix things now rather than waiting for later. And that's why these things like contrast therapy or like, I had my red light unit on as we started this interview. That's why I use these things because it's just little things that can help with this overall equation. But anyways, that's my contrast therapy story.
I love it. No, our goal is our body's constantly trying to heal itself from all the things we put it through. And I think that's it's just the way we were designed. Our body can heal itself, but we're not wired to rest. So I think that's something that is overlooked a lot is rest is incredible and probably the most foundational recovery thing, but it's hard to do that. And your feet, you need your feet. You're on your feet for everything, unless you're doing handstand walks.
And you did this, what is it called? A sisu? What's not sisu is a sauna. What's the board you used? You have this like board that has a bunch of nails on it that you stand on.
So it's called like a prana mat, the acupressure mats.
Okay.
I don't know the name of the one that I got, but yeah, it's a wooden board with legitimate copper nails in it. It's the next level. It's like varsity level. So kind of like the cold plunge, like you can start at 70 degrees and then go to 40 and then go to ice. Like there's like middle school, high school, and varsity. Like as far as acupressure mats go, I would not start with the wooden board with copper nails because it is varsity. And I've had some people who are pretty strong people like try to stand on it and they feel like they're going to like they feel like their feet are done or toast. They're fine. It doesn't break through the skin.
Pierce the skin.
It's definitely mentally challenging, but also it is physically challenging. I love acupressure mats. That's another very underrated recovery tool that we use every single night in our house. Me and my wife actually used to fight over our acupressure mat, but yesterday was my birthday and she got me one. So now we both have one, and they're not crazy expensive either, but they're just like, are they? I guess she's saying they are expensive, but it's worth it. It kind of similar to the sauna, just puts you in this relaxed state. Love doing it before bed. It brings blood to the surface to muscles that don't get a ton of attention unless you're actually working out with them. But there's some really good biohacking tools out there that are available that most people have never even heard of. And if they've heard of them, they're like, oh, that's not that important. I'm not gonna try it.
All right. Acupressure mat. Okay. That's on my list as well. So I did want to talk about other safety concerns, because, I think we've talked about some of the obvious ones, right? The obvious one being, hey, listen to your body when you're dealing with these extreme temperatures. Like if it's too
Yeah.
cold and you start to shiver, get out. Or if if you can't handle, 40 degrees, then hey, let's start with 50 degrees. Same thing with sauna. If you can't start with 150, like let's start with 135 and see what happens there. And when you notice yourself starting to get, dizzy, and if you're having difficulty breathing, these are good indications to get out. Like,
Yes.
and I think when I started sauning, again, consistently, um, before I got a sauna at home, I went to a sauna studio, and I'm like, I'm really strong. I'm in really good shape. I'm going to do it at the hottest setting, and I'm going to stay in for 30 minutes no matter what. And I was okay, but it was probably more than I needed. Like, I think
Yeah.
when I was doing it at that, I think like I got to 20 minutes in, and the last 10 minutes was like a real struggle, and I would be kind of like in a daze the rest of the day. And so like that for me was a sign like, okay, yeah, even though I'm like, in pretty good shape, I should not be jumping straight to, the standard that somebody else made rather than listening to my body. So what are some other, concerns with, or what are some other things that you should keep in mind when you're doing? Let's start with the cold therapy.
Well, I mean, you got to think of think of marathon runners. Just because someone can run a marathon doesn't mean they're going to go run a marathon every single day as they're training.
Mm.
Some days are easy runs. Maybe you're running 5 to 10 miles at a really slow pace, like almost an embarrassingly slow pace. And some days are, you're doing 200-meter sprints and you're doing maybe 10 rounds of that. And it's really quick and you get it done and that training is done. All of these different styles of training throughout the week and the month lead you to be able and be capable of doing a very, very cold plunge and a very, very hot sauna for a very long time, if that's your goal. Kind of similar to a runner. They're going to train a lot of different ways. The end result to be a fast, to be able to run further and go faster.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes back to like all of these recovery tools. Like I don't think there's ever going to be an Olympics where it's like wellness Olympics where you have a bunch of people like Wim Hof and stuff, and they're just trying to like go in the coldest water for the longest time. If that ever happens, I won't be signing up. That's
They
not
would they
why
would die.
yeah, it would be
They
like
would
a
die
fight
because
to the death.
yeah, and it's not like it's with cold therapy. It's not what happens. You're not out of danger once you get out. Your
Exactly.
body is still like in. I forgot who this was, but there's this really well known biohacker. I won't bring up any names. But he decided to do this, and he spent like 20 minutes in this frozen lake and got out, and his body went into shock, like, and he
Right.
almost died. Like you can,
Unnecessary.
yes, like don't, anyways.
And the same
Point
thing as the
being,
sauna. Like you said you went in there, and I feel like there's a cycle of I don't know if should we use the word biohacking or just recovery. Like there's a cycle of recovery. Like once you dip your toe in the water and you're like, I like cold plunging, and you say, I'm going to do this every day, you, like most, will, if you can afford it, you'll go and you'll buy one of the better setups that you can afford. Then you'll get it to your house and you'll have this crazy thought that you're going to set it to the coldest temperature that's possible. And here's the thing, like after we get off this podcast, I have 2 products that I've got to shoot and review. And when I do my reviews, I always mention like what they're capable of temperature wise, because that's always people's first question. Like one of them's a sauna, but one of them's a cold plunge. The cold plunge can set to 37 degrees. Do you know how many times people who get a cold plunge that can be set to 37 degrees actually cold plunge at 37 degrees? It's probably less than 2% of the people who buy that cold plunge actually have their cold plunge set at the coldest setting. Same thing with a sauna. Most people don't just have their sauna set at the hottest temperature every single time. And they might start that way. The cycle is this: they see if they like the modality. Once they decide they do, they get one and they max it out. Like they go either as hot as it can go or as cold as it can go. And then they torture themselves for about a week, and then they realize, well, this is stupid. I don't like how I feel. And then they dial it in, and then they
Right.
figure out what is right for their family. And we're all biodiverse. We're all different. Me and you could go and get in the same set temperature cold plunge for the same amount of time, get out and feel totally different. And I
Hmm.
think it's so important for people to listen to your body and do what makes you feel. Remember, the whole reason we're doing this is to feel better. We're not going out and running a marathon with the end result going to be we have to recover from that for 3 days. We're doing this so we recover faster and can go live our life better, right?
Hmm.
This is the Betterment podcast. We want to live our life better. These modalities aren't meant to be a competition, they're meant to be used to make us feel better. So I remember listening to a podcast with Andrew Huberman and Joe Rogan when they were talking about how long do you go and how cold do you go. And Joe was like, dude, those are freaking weenie numbers. Like, you need to set that thing colder and go longer. And Andrew's like, I mean, it makes me feel good. And he was getting
Yeah.
into 55-degree cold plunges for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That gave me this was a couple years ago too. And this gave me like, oh man, I'm glad he said that, because had
Yeah.
he not said that, like a big figure in the space, had he not said that, I was trying to get better at staying in really, really cold plunges for a long
Hmm.
period of time. And it wasn't doing me any favors. I wasn't feeling any better.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing is like, remember the whole reason we're doing this, and that's to feel better and recover faster.
Yeah. I've told this story a couple times, but my temperature sensor broke on my cold plunge, and so it was set to the lowest setting. Like it just never, the freezer never turned off because it never thought it was cold enough. So mine was essentially like 35 degrees, and I did that because I'm like, okay, well, this is what I have, and I'd do it for like 90 seconds or 2 minutes tops. But then I'd get out and I'd shiver for like an hour. Like my morning's ruined because I'm
Right.
trying to focus on my computer, but I'm shivering as I'm typing. Like, so like that wasn't sustainable. That wasn't helpful.
Right. So I heard something too, and I've been testing it a lot lately, and I actually really, really like it. And I forget who said it. It was somebody who isn't even well known. It was like a guest on a podcast that I've never even heard of before, and I don't even remember what podcast it was to reference back to. But they were saying that really, like the ultimate goal of a cold plunge isn't to shiver. Like to shiver, that's like when you activate brown fat. So it depends on your
Hmm.
goals. But the
Hmm.
ultimate goal of a cold plunge is to activate that shock. And once you've activated that shock, typically there's a heart rate response. There's that that breathing response.
Hmm.
If you can have 10 breaths after you activate that shock, 10 relaxed, controlled breaths after that shock, you have maximized the benefits of the cold plunge for the mind, like mentally. Obviously, you can stand longer depending on your muscle that's sore or joints that are sore.
Hmm.
But I started doing that. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So it doesn't matter the time or the temperature. Let me get in, activate that shock, control it, and then count to 10 breaths.
Hmm.
Sometimes that gets me to a minute. Sometimes that gets me to a minute and a half, depending on the temperature. And sometimes like this morning, I did a cold plunge at 5:30 in the morning. My kids are back in school now, so they all want to get up and cold plunge before school. So we all
That's
took
so cool.
turns in one that we have set at 60 degrees. It's not that cold. It's good for the kids, and they all did it. So like one of the kids was in there for maybe 30 seconds. One of the kids was in there for maybe 35. One of the kids was in there for a little over 40 seconds. Like really, like, but you don't. It goes really fast when you think of just let
Hmm.
me count my breaths. And at the end of that 10 breaths, your body's cool, your skin is cool, you feel good, you get out, you have energy, and you don't feel like you have to recover from your cold plunge.
Right.
That's a
Yeah. I mean,
cool thing for someone to try.
yeah. I mean, if you're getting cold plunge and like the rest of your day is like you're operating 50%, like clearly that's too much. So, so
Exactly.
let's go into safety concerns with saunas. I've only started recently seeing this, but what you wear in a sauna is important. So now there's these like, I don't know, these space hats that
Okay,
people
good.
wear, and then also I've seen a lot of information lately about making sure that you're wearing like 100% cotton,
Yes, organic
or like,
cotton would be best.
yes, organic cotton, or not wearing swimsuits
Yep.
because your body will actually absorb.
It's crazy, bro. I've dove deep in that rabbit hole. Actually, like I'm wearing Riker activewear right now. There's some of my
Okay.
favorite. I probably spent $500 to $1,000 on organic clothes to like just test out. I mean, I'm in the active space. I'm
Yeah.
always active. I sleep in these clothes. I sweat in these clothes. I cold plunge in these clothes. I'm working out in these clothes. And there's a couple brands that I freaking love, like the way they fit, the way they look, everything about them. Like I really, really love them. But when you dive down that rabbit hole and you really like, oh shoot, that actually is scary.
Hmm.
Depending
Yeah.
on your level of
The
nerdiness, like
microplastics level hole, black
yeah, like
hole.
I'm a super nerd when it comes to this stuff now. And it's like, if I can control something, why would I not? Like I can't control the weather. I can't control what the government's going to do. I can't control taxes. I can't control a lot of things, but I can control what I consume. I can't control what I watch, what I put in front of me, and I can't control what I wear. So why not wear something that is actually not going to do any harm to me?
Hmm.
It's kind of scary. So like, all right, let's talk about that safety stuff. So the reason you wear a sauna hat, and preferably like an organic wool sauna hat, nothing with like dyes. I know there's some colorful ones out there on Amazon and stuff. Like just get the ugly one. You don't have to spend a ton of money. Thicker is better. The whole goal behind the sauna hat is your brain is like the alarm system that tells your body it's time to get out, like your head. And when you wear these sauna hats, it protects your head from overheating fast. So you can stay in a hotter sauna for a longer period of time. Another way to think of it is heat rises. So if you're in a traditional sauna where
Hmm.
it's hot, 180 plus degrees, you're sitting on a bench, your head is the highest point of your body. And if your head is telling your body like, oh shoot, we're hot, get out, your feet, your legs, your knees, your hips, the areas of your body that really could benefit from a little longer time in a sauna aren't getting that time because your head's telling you to get out. So wearing a sauna hat's a non-negotiable. I wear it 100%
Hmm.
of the sessions because if I'm going to get in the sauna, I want to maximize those benefits. It's also good for your hair. Like super hot temperature, your hair is at the top of your head, and you can depending on the temp, you could fry your beautiful hair, and you don't want to do that. So it just seems like a very inexpensive thing that has
Hmm.
a lot of benefits that are simple but super effective. So always wear a sauna hat. Make sure your kids wear sauna hats. If you're a woman and you don't want to fry your hair, wear a sauna hat. Put your hair in a bun and put it all in the hat. And
Okay.
that's definitely a smart move. The next move would be remove your clothing if you can. If you own your own sauna and you have your own sauna at home, like sit on the wood naked. Like it's a better that's the best option. And if you can't do that or you're not willing to do that, wrap yourself up in an organic towel. Those aren't very expensive, washcloth, or purchase some organic cotton or merino wool clothing. I like the Riker Active Wear. There's some other brands that I've tried, but they're just the most comfortable and they fit my lifestyle the best. So yeah, you don't want to open up your pores and allow. Here's the craziest thing too. Like I'm kind of passionate about this because I'm deeply down this rabbit hole right now. But like most of the brands like that we've heard of, and I don't want to say any names, but like big brands, activewear brands, pretty much
Yeah.
all of them are petroleum based synthetic material, and they're moisture wicking. But the problem is they're also hydrophobic. So they're moisture wicking, so they help pull the moisture, but they also repel the moisture. So what it does is it pulls the moisture and then repels the moisture, creating this like greenhouse effect on your skin between the short and your skin. So it's the moisture is coming out of your body. Now the short is wicking moisture away, but also repelling it. So it just keeps it on your skin with open pores. It's just there's a reason some people have bad experiences in saunas and get rashes afterwards or break out really bad afterwards.
Hmm.
And I'd be I would be curious if they changed the clothing they're wearing,
Hmm.
and did a few sauna sessions in organic clothing or no clothing at all, if they would have that same effect, if that would have that same response.
Okay. And I guess, what's the danger? I mean, I don't know if you specifically said like, are we talking like microplastics or like what's
I mean,
the,
I don't know. Like, I guess, yeah, if you can avoid you're putting petroleum based plastic on your body, basically wearing, saran wrap around your
yeah.
body while you're sweating. The goal is to detoxify and to sweat out toxins and allow your body to breathe freely. And when you're
Hmm.
wearing polyester, spandex, nylon, most of these materials, it's doing the exact opposite. It's just holding that that great job. You're doing a great job, and then you're saying, no, body, take it back, keep it in there.
Got
So I
it.
think it's just
Okay.
more. There's probably some dangers to it, but just as me, like I would just say it's just gross.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've kind of gone down I haven't gone down the rabbit hole yet, but I've started thinking more about plastics use and thinking about, I think I saw something a couple months ago that said like the average 45-year-old has like a thumbnail's worth of just microplastics just in their body or I think it
Yeah,
was in their brain,
I think it was
honestly.
in there. I think I saw that same study. It was
I was
crazy.
like, in your brain, really? And so now I'm like, okay, we got to get rid of got to get rid of my plastic plates. I don't know how that's going to work for my 2-year-old. We're going to have to buy new plates every week, or we're
Stainless
just going to use
steel. We
stainless
just
steel. Okay.
replaced all of our paper because, dude, same thing. We have 4 kids. Friends are over all the time, so we would just go buy the $12 pack of 50 paper plates. How crazy expensive is paper products now? And they're all coated with plastic. So like, and that's okay if you're like serving chips or something that's just like room temp. But like the
Mhm.
second you put it in the microwave, we're literally heating that plastic up and letting it absorb into our food.
Yeah.
So we
All
switched
right.
to there's a cheap brand on Amazon. They're 100% food grade stainless steel. They look kind of cool too. Like we've switched to almost
That's
all
like
stainless steel,
That's going to
and
be
they're
the new
cheap.
thing. That's going to be like the new cool plate to have is going to be stainless steel. It makes me think of how it makes me think of the evolution of water bottles. Remember, like when we were kids, it was like all Nalgene's. Like
Yeah.
Nalgene was the big thing, and then I forgot what happened after that. But now it's like you got to get a stainless steel water bottle. And
Yep. Exactly,
anyways,
dude. Or glass, like glass, stainless steel is the only thing you can drink out of. But
right.
it's important, and that's another thing. If you're going in the sauna, don't bring a plastic water bottle. Like I see people go into. I don't go to a lot of the sauna studios, but I have, and some people will bring their own water bottles, and they have the plastic Gatorade water bottles. Those are fine if you're like just drinking one around the house. If that's what you have, don't go buy one. They're not worth buying. But bringing that into a sauna is not the greatest decision. And then
Hmm.
another thing for guys, and I want to say this is probably good for women too, is this new trend. I actually made a funny video about it, and it went not viral, but it kind of went crazy on Amazon or on Instagram. Is like icing your boys, like actually using an ice
Okay.
pack, or people are putting their underwear in the freezer before they get into a sauna, and it
Okay.
just like cools down your man parts or your lady
Okay.
parts before you get in the sauna. Um, I'm
Yeah,
sure there's
I was actually in a women's health class in college, and it was talking about alternative forms of birth control. And if you submerge yourself in a hot tub, I think it has to be really hot. It has to be like 110 degrees, but you can essentially, birth control yourself if you spend 10 minutes a day in like 110 degrees for like, I think it has to be like 20 minutes, I think is what the
that's
study said.
crazy.
But yeah, if you're looking for an alternative form of birth control, just submerge yourself in really hot water for 20
That's
minutes a
wild,
day.
bro. That's so wild. But yeah, the
Yeah.
opposite of that would be take a ice pack or something and put it on your genitals while you're in the sauna. So your body is getting all the benefits, but you're not cooking your reproductive organs. Apparently, there's some studies or some people are talking about when you do that, it can actually increase your testosterone and helps with hormone health. So
Hmm.
I'm
Well,
experimenting with
that's
that a
the
little bit. Go
Well, I was
ahead.
going to say that's the thing. That's the thing. We didn't mention that yet, but like heating back up from cold. If you allow yourself to heat back up naturally instead of jumping into a sauna after you get in cold plunge, your testosterone levels like jump up. I have a
Yeah.
friend who is lives in San Francisco or used to live in San Francisco, and he's really into like open water swimming. And there was a time period when their saunas were broken, and so they would go do their open water swim in San Francisco. God, I'd never swim in ocean like that. Like I've
That's
seen
crazy.
too many shark videos. Like, nope,
Yeah.
not
Same here.
happening.
Same here.
But then when their saunas were broken, and I think they were doing getting their testosterone levels checked. Their testosterone levels like jumped dramatically because heating your body back up is like helps you improve your testosterone levels. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that
Allow
you want to keep
yourself
in
to
mind with
drip dry.
contrast therapy is
No, for
is is
sure. And that's
end on cold.
and uncold. Yeah, we didn't say that, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. My routine is 15 minute sauna, 2 to 3 minute cold plunge when I'm doing contrast therapy, And it's really cool when you track your heart rate to see like how your heart rate just kind of goes up, 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 up. And then you can see it like plummet when you get into the cold plunge. And then it does it
Yeah.
again, up, 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 up,
Yeah.
plummet. I like to do 3 rounds if I have
Hmm.
time, and then always end cold and allow your body to naturally warm back up. Even
Hmm.
if I do this at night, which I do most of the time, I'll end cold. I'll quickly towel dry just to get the water off, but I don't like bundle up. And then if I go inside to take my like shower at night, like to actually clean off,
Hmm.
I'll take a shower at completely cold. And the cool thing too is because you're getting out of 48-degree water in a cold plunge, and I live in Florida, so my water's 72 degrees at the coldest setting. It still
Hmm.
feels nice and warm, but it's still cold.
Yeah.
But always try to take like a cold shower afterwards too, and just allow your body to naturally heat up. And if you do this before bed, my recovery scores are always in the 90s, like 95 plus when I do contrast therapy at night.
Hmm. Okay. Good to know.
You got to do it.
Yeah. So I don't want to go. I know we're at almost time, but I wanted to also mention. I know you're also big into red light therapy, and I feel
Yes.
like this fits into this conversation pretty well. So how do you use red light therapy, and what has it been useful for you for?
So I don't even know how I got into red light therapy. This was years before I got into making content about health and wellness. My wife found something about it. She's like the
Hmm.
crunchy mom, like the crunchy wife.
Yeah.
So we ended up buying a panel, and then I started doing some research. I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. And then I started noticing like healing faster. And I'm like, dang, this is actually really cool. Then I started noticing my skin. Like I'm 37 years
Hmm.
old. I'm a lifetime Florida surfer. Don't wear sunscreen. My skin's always been jacked up. It's gotten so much better over the years when I've consistently used red light therapy. Now
Yeah.
we have panels all around our house. Like I have panels everywhere. We have 4 kids too, and they all use it, and they always get compliments on their skin. So I started using red light therapy for the benefits of skin more than
Hmm.
anything. And then you realize like, oh, it's actually like it helps to supercharge your cells in your body and allow your cells to function more properly and help
Yeah.
reduce inflammation and help bring healing into certain
Hmm.
areas. So we've loved red light therapy. It's one of those things that some people hate it. I don't really know why they would say that. Like there's some influencers I see, they're like, red light therapy is a scam. Is it though? Like they bring it to space to grow plants.
Yeah. Like
It's the
red light
only way.
therapy. I think that's a really common concern. And like, that was my thought too. Like, really, you just like shine red light on yourself and it works. But the thing is, like, this isn't new. Red light therapy has been around since the 1960s. There's studies
Right.
that go back to the 1960s for red light therapy. And if you go on, like, you go do research, or like the brand that I use is called RLT Home. And if you go on their website, they actually have an entire section dedicated to all the different studies that red light therapy has been proven to be effective with, but based on like conditions. So if you want to like, how has it been proven effective for arthritis? How has this worked for testosterone? How has this worked for prostate health? Like there's like a whole list. Like you can go look and
There's
see
so
that it
much data
works.
on red light. Red light therapy and creatine are 2 of the most studied things. So
Creatine,
like,
interesting.
yeah, like creatine is one of the I think it is the most studied supplement around the world.
Wow. Okay.
And the benefits are insane. Like I
Yeah.
think everyone should definitely find a
Right.
quality creatine supplement, including
No,
kids. Like
I've got creatine in all of my water bottles that I start the day with. I have 2 scoops of creatine because it isn't just muscle. Everyone, creatine used to be like a muscle building supplement, and now people realize like, oh, it's actually a cognitive supplement as well.
it's
Like
so
it
good for the
does
brain.
so many things.
Yeah, my kids take a half scoop, so probably 2 to 3 grams. We make them like a little morning concoction, and they love
Hmm.
it. Like you can't taste it, and they have excelled so much in school. It's been really cool to
Oh wow.
see, like to actually see it happening. Like most parents are like, "Oh, I'm proud of my kids." Like it's really cool to see. Like my kids aren't naturally just smart, but they're doing a lot of things that are helping their bodies perform, which is also helping their brains perform. And as a parent, like getting to see that is really, really cool. But
Yeah.
we've been
Got to
huge
get
fans of
got
red
to
light
get cold
therapy
plunges in school.
for real. No, I actually am going to donate one to the school, like for their athletics department.
Oh, that's awesome.
But back to like real quick ending on red light therapy.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably one of the more entry level biohacks that people would feel a benefit from and even see a benefit from. But I think there's a lot of not great options out there. So definitely buy from a
Right.
reputable brand that shares studies, that has good reviews, because there are, I mean, it is like, if you look at it with your eye, it's a red light. So like going and standing outside of a stop sign, that has one of those flashing red lights, I don't think you're going to get that. I don't think you're going to get the same benefits standing in front of just any old red light.
Right.
Like even like a red LED strip. I've seen people like use red LED strips and make their own red light wall. I don't know. I don't know if it's as effective.
Yeah.
There's
I
different
don't think so.
distances. Yeah, exactly. There's different
Yeah.
distances that the light's able to penetrate into,
Yeah.
depending on how close you stand to it. So just do a little more research on the red light therapy before you just buy one. But
Yeah.
there are some incredible brands out there and some incredible benefits from red light therapy if used consistently. I think that's the key. We said it earlier, but
Right. Consistency.
consistently using these things is where the magic happens. But if you don't have that ability, if you don't have that budget, I think of all the things we talked about, if you were going to do just a one use and like try to see like what is going to make me feel good for a while after just one use, I'd have to say cold plunging is probably going to be that thing. Using it
Yeah.
one time, no matter what your health is like, you'll feel different.
Right. Yeah. Most
Yeah.
noticeable impact for sure. Getting
Yes.
in cold. And yeah, like red light therapy, it's the wavelength matters. So like there's different wavelengths. So you should have a device that has different wavelengths for different like setting. Like one of them would be to target like internal organs. One of them would be to target bones and tendons. So like you have
Yeah.
you have different wavelengths. You want to be different distances away. Like for some purposes, you want to be like 8 inches away, while for others you'd be like 3 feet away. And then like they're different times. So it's not just it in some ways it is as simple as super light that you shine your body at.
Yeah.
And that you shine at your body. And then it's also a little more complicated than that. But yeah, the way that it works is it increases the rate of cellular regeneration, which is what a lot of anti-aging protocols do. Like if you look at a hyperbaric chamber, like that's what it does. It increases your oxygen levels, which helps your cells regenerate more quickly. And if you look at like telomeres, right? Like that's the one thing that they look at for cell quality as you age. The way that you can fight anti-aging is by improving the quality of your telomeres. And so it's the same concept of, okay, if you can improve the rate of cellular regeneration, thereby improving the quality of your telomeres, that helps your cells be younger and be whatever, work more better, work weller,
Work more better. Dude, I love
gooder.
it. Let's go, man. Like, listen to you. Like, you can feel the passion when when it starts to like really click and somebody's noticed life changing. You can feel the passion when somebody talks about something, and I can feel it from you, and it's exciting to talk about it with you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's great talking with you too. So, we're going to have to put links for all this stuff in the show notes. So if there's anything that intrigued you, we'll put that in here. And then, definitely check out the previous episode that we did together if you like this and you want to hear more. And then the 2 other episodes I'd recommend. I did a whole interview with Red Light Therapy Home. That's the brand that I use for the sauna. So there's tons of stuff in there for Red Light Therapy. So check them out if you're interested in learning more about Red Light Therapy and what it can do. And then the Brian McKenzie interview as well. We go a little bit, we talk about, the science of hot and cold therapy there. So thanks for being here, Dave. I appreciate it.
Dude, I appreciate it too, man. It's always fun talking to a brother about things that you're passionate about. So I hope that the people listening and seeing this are inspired or just a little bit more excited or educated to try some of these things for themselves. Because
Yeah,
it's one of those things, you could see an influencer online doing something and you're like, oh, it's just cold water, like whatever. When you actually feel it and you experience it, it can be life-changing.
yeah, yeah. And I my dad brought this up with me a few weeks ago, and I was talking about all the different stuff we do with the podcast and with Manful Yoga, and just a reminder, like we're here for the yoga. Like this is the big thing. Like this is like with if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't be able to work out. I wouldn't like really be interested in all this other stuff. And Dave just did a great yoga series with me. So if you're particularly focused, like if you do like CrossFit style workouts, if you do cross training, if you lift weights, if you do like high rocks or like anything like that, and you're interested in kind of assessing your mobility levels and figuring out where you might have areas of opportunity or where you have potential areas that could break down and get injured, definitely check out that series and learn what you can work on to make yourself more resilient and perform better. So there.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I hope this inspires you to be a better man. I'll see you on the next episode. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Again, we're going to put links in the show notes so you can see links for everything that we talked about in here. If you're curious and want to go check it out for yourself, I'd encourage you to do so. If you haven't already done so and you're enjoying the podcast, please leave a review. You can do that wherever you listen. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We also have video versions of the podcast on the Better Man Podcast YouTube channel and in the Manful Yoga app and members area. If you are part of the Manful Yoga community, I want to say thank you for being here. I hope you guys are getting a lot out of this. I hope it's complementing your Manful Yoga membership very well. And if you're not already, I encourage you to try it out. We've got a free 7-day trial you can sign up for whenever. We also have a free 7-day challenge, which doesn't require a credit card, which you can use to see if Manful Yoga is a good fit for you. 7 workouts, 15 minutes per day, and taught specifically for guys who are new or inflexible, which is what Manful Yoga is all about. Yoga designed specifically for men. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to check out some of the other interviews if you want to learn more about some of the topics we discussed today. Again, we've got one with Brian McKenzie, where we talk about hot and cold therapy. We've also got a good one with the founders of RLT Home, Red Light Therapy. That's with Arjun, if you want to learn more about red light therapy. So hope you guys are enjoying this podcast. I hope it inspires you to be a better man, and I'll see you on the next episode.